All right, we are good to go. Dion Gordon, Tech Birmingham, thank you all for joining. Welcome back. I am going to assume that the theme song recognizes the fact that Tech Tuesday is back. It's the first virtual one. Whoop, whoop. I don't know if you will be able to see this on the recording, but Christina is raising the roof. I think she dug in the 90s crates, so, which is always an appropriate decade for music and cultural milestones and touchstones. So, Drew, when you are on camera, this is how you have to start. You can either give us your favorite Outkast verse or you can raise the roof. I don't make the rules. So, glad you have decided to join us. Really just appreciate you making time for this, especially given that you are brand new in this role. So first and foremost, congratulations. I don't think it's any secret that Tech Birmingham and the Innovation Depot have enjoyed a remarkable relationship over the many years. We're absolutely thrilled and looking forward to continuing that relationship, building on the foundation that has been set. Thank you all for joining us as a part of this webinar series, Tech Tuesday, presented by Regions. Want to make sure that we recognize them as well, because not only have they been great partners to us over here at Tech Birmingham, especially as we made these pivots, but they've just been great partners throughout the community. So even more so encouraging knowing that they are a local firm, really doing what they can in their position to make sure folks are supported as best as possible throughout this new narrative, this new normal. So again, we really appreciate you guys making time for us. We have a number of attendees. I'm looking at 56 right now. You all are being inundated in your inboxes, I am certain, of opportunities to listen, to engage. And so the fact that you all took time out to share this moment with us, we definitely want to acknowledge that and just say thank you. If you're not a member of Tech Birmingham, by now, I am a broken record, but I am a happy broken record about this. Make sure that you have signed up if you are a part of a larger organization. Make sure that your organization is a member of Tech Birmingham. We're more than happy to provide you with any resources, anything that you need as you kind of go through that onboarding process and investigate whether this is a good fit for you all. But at the end of the day, we really want to make sure that we're delivering value, not just to our members. Our members come first and foremost. When our members thrive, our community thrives. But that also speaks to our larger vision that we want to make sure that Birmingham is elevated, that Birmingham is the most inclusive, the most robust technology ecosystem in the South. That is our goal. That is what we're driving toward. You are a major part of this. So again, thank you for leaning into this. Christina, Rebecca, as always, really appreciate the work that you all do behind the scenes on this, being front and center in a lot of ways as well. You wear multiple hats. So I appreciate you, as does our entire community. So with that said, Christina, I'll turn it over to you for a few brief moments if you want to offer up some housekeeping details and to help kick us off.
Great. Thank you, Dion. So I will just set up a few ground rules for us before we let Drew take control. So basically this is, we've set it up webinar style. There is, if you have questions, you can use our Q&A feature and throw your question in there. And if there is a healthy place for us to ask that question, then we'll do so. If not, then we'll wait until the end and take care of all those questions at the end. There's also that chat feature, and so that's pretty interactive. If you want to use that to chat with anybody who is in the room or with the whole audience, that's fine. Just know that all of the chats are also recorded. So if there's personal things, that's probably not the place to put them if you don't want that to be seen. And then that is pretty much it. If there's any sort of glitch in the broadcast, please put that in the chat so that we can be aware of how to fix that. So without further ado, Dion, I'll let you introduce our guest of honor.
Awesome. Thank you, Christina. I will be brief because this is an individual who really doesn't need an introduction. He has been a staple in Birmingham's entrepreneurial ecosystem, in our tech ecosystem for quite some time, going back to, of course, Planet Fundraiser and Funnelfly, but he has a fascinating story that precedes that. I don't know if he'll get into it. I definitely don't want to steal any thunder, but just know that Drew comes with a wealth of knowledge and experience, and he has a servant's heart. So really excited to hear his vision for the depot, how that ties into our overall goal of moving this region forward at a very rapid rate. So with all that said, I will turn it over to you, Drew Honeycutt.
Yeah, thank you, Dion, and thank you, TechBirmingham, for having me. Thank you for everyone joining us. What an honor to be here. I guess the first virtual TechBirmingham. So one, I'm honored and humbled for the opportunity to be here, but also for the position to be here with the depot. So you said I either have to raise the roof or I've got to give my favorite Outcast quote. So I started off starving. Now they got me out here, Brett Favre. So that's one of my favorite Outcast quotes going back to the 90s. Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I think I know a lot of people on this call, but those that I've not yet met, I can't wait to get to know you here soon. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I've done a couple different tech startups here in Birmingham. I've been involved with a lot of different types of business startups, not necessarily high growth startups, but whether they are in the construction industry, facility maintenance. And so I've been around a lot of different types of businesses from ground up. And so it's really been fun to see that, see businesses go from an idea to a reality. And really what excites me about the Innovation Depot is, one, I've been in this building for the last 4 years incubating businesses and have had the opportunity of seeing really all the great work that's been done here in the building and also out in the community. And so the opportunity to take that torch and to run with it forward is really exciting to me, so that we can build an ecosystem, and it's an ecosystem that we can be proud of as a community, that creates a lot of opportunities, creates a lot of upward mobility. It's an inclusive ecosystem where everybody feels welcome. And so I look forward to sharing my vision of what that looks like with you guys. So I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me. All right. So the mission of the Innovation Depot is to incubate and accelerate tech and and biotech, high-focused, high-growth businesses. And we do that by giving them the blueprint. So we're going to be working with the community here, all the entrepreneurs and people that have had success and know what they're talking about, and working closely with the companies here in the depot and in the community to help incubate and show these companies how to take their idea to MVP and to commercialization quickly. Let's see here. Ooh. Sorry. Technical difficulties. So the vision is that Birmingham can have more exits per capita than any other city in America. And I really think we can do this. And if you think about what does success look like in our community, exits are a massive success measure, both in the amount of capital it brings back into our community, but also the skills learned by people that are a part of those businesses. And we're not a huge MSA. And so if you think about the number of exits that have already happened in our region and other companies that are poised to have that success, I really think that per capita, we can have more exits than any other city in America. And so it's going to take a conscious effort in our community to make that happen. And so what is the depot's role in that? As I mentioned, is to incubate and accelerate businesses. So we take the blueprint of what it takes to get an idea to a MVP and to find product market fit, and then get them to commercialization as quickly as possible, so that we can really to hone that process and reduce the time it takes to get a business out the door. And we're the catalyst for collaboration. So working closely with all the community organizations, so that as these organizations and businesses come online, we can work closely with them to help them build their businesses. and to add value to our stakeholders. So we have a lot of stakeholders here in the depot. We have member companies, we have the community at large, we have a board of directors, we have funders. So we have a lot of different stakeholders. And so making sure that the vision of all of those aligns to help companies have success. And so that's really what we're going after. And to create awareness for our community, for the depot, and really what's happening here in our Birmingham region. So if you think about our tech ecosystem, and this is not all inclusive, there's other organizations that are not represented on this, but you've got organizations like TechBirmingham, Birmingham, Birmingham Black Techies, Birmingham Bound, Innovate Birmingham, all these different organizations that have direct connections with the entrepreneurs that as they come up with the ideas and are starting the businesses, we want to work closely with these organizations so that these entrepreneurs move into the depot. We can help to incubate and accelerate those companies out into the Switch District. So if you guys have not heard of the Switch District, it's the innovation district that's around the Innovation Depot. And we're going to be making a hard push to make that really it's a true innovation district where based on the velocity of companies that move into the depot and then move out based on their growth, that they stay in this area and fill up that space. So what that will do to our region is build a true ecosystem where there's eateries and it's a lively area that you would want to hang around after work, go get a drink or some dinner. And so you've got office space. It'll help fill up local jobs, drive the local tax base, and really just drive this local community around what we're doing here with our tech ecosystem. So how do we do that? Well, we have to create a scalable, repeatable blueprint for success that we share with entrepreneurs. And that blueprint it helps you to get across that chasm where you could potentially, a lot of startups die on the vine where maybe they don't have the resources, maybe they're trying to figure things out on their own. And so we're going to take that blueprint and show people how to do it. And we're going to prioritize diversity and inclusion, making sure that everyone has a voice and a seat at the table. They feel welcome, that this is a community space, and we want people of all types to have just as many opportunities as anyone. And that'll help us attract and retain the top and best talent. So we're working with BHAM Biz Hub and the community to really get a census of who in our community exists, to whether they're doing graphic design, they're developers, whatever their skill set is in our ecosystem, we need to know so that we can figure out what those skill gaps are and fill them. And then we're really around that is fostering a sharing economy. So if you're on this call, more than likely we're going to be reaching out to you in the near future, needing your help in some capacity, whether it's teaching a course, maybe it's a 30 or 45 minute class here in the depot. Just being involved with our ecosystem, involvement really drives so much. And so that's one of my asks is just be involved. And so we're going to have a lot of growth specific training. So the things that companies need to know, whether it's how to fill the top of your sales funnel with organic leads or how to set up your website for conversion tracking, very specific task that will move your business forward. We're going to train on those here in the depot. And that all goes around the blueprint, the different things that need to happen in order for your business to be successful. We're establishing a mentorship program where we're matching skills with needs. And so if you're a non-technical founder and you need some technical advice, we're going to be matching mentors that's maybe a technical mentor with someone that's a non-technical founder, and really ramping that program up. We're going to consistently and constantly be hosting meetups and collisions here in the depot. Everything from DJ parties up on the balcony that, I don't know if you've been to the balcony here on the back up on the upstairs, but we've got an incredible balcony that has a great view of the city. Hopefully one day soon we can all meet back up here in the depot, and that's one thing that we plan to do. But on top of that, just events like what we're doing here, where there's ways that we can all get to know each other and create those collisions where the conversations start and we can start sharing the resources and the knowledge that's going to drive our ecosystem forward. And then another thing is really working closely with the community at large. So a lot of that starts in high schools and middle schools, and being the spark of innovation that can drive a kid forward to make them believe not only in themselves, but in their abilities to build something great. So this is a big thing that it's going to take a lot of community efforts to build a program where we're matching corporate companies or larger companies with startups. And so it's based around a qualification program that startups get vetted in order to qualify, and then we match needs with local companies. And so this is a big initiative that's going to take multiple organizations and companies to make happen. But the key is to get ownership and buy-in from all levels in different organizations, and to build a program so that there's clear understanding and communication during the process. And so, as I mentioned, awareness, the ecosystem is critical to our success, whether it's the local universities, the high schools, the TechBirmingham, the EDPA, all these different organizations that make up our ecosystem, because they all play a critical role in the success of being able to have all of these exits in our community. Because if we have exits in our community, the amount of private capital that comes back into redeveloping our community, into generational wealth and families, it really drives things forward. And so building that awareness within our ecosystem, like what we're doing here, is critical. We're going to start seeing a lot more activity on our social media channels here in the very near future, where just a lot more activity there. And then also inside the depot, you're going to start seeing a lot of changes around the way we communicate. We're working on, I'm not going to steal my thunder, but because it's not finalized yet, but we're working on some additional ways that you can communicate. You can see here in this image that there's a chalkboard. Hopefully we can get a little more up to date than a chalkboard, but that may be what we end up with. Because at the end of the day, we are a nonprofit, and so we have a lot of ground, 140,000 square feet to cover, which can lead to a lot of maintenance. That's a lot of roofs, and there's a lot of facility operational costs that go into this building. And so trying to operate as lean as we can, but also put in as much programming, and also really move the building forward as much as we can. So what are KPIs? Like, how do we look and see, are we doing a good job? Well, historically, it's always been how many companies graduate from the depot, and we'll continue to look at that. How many companies go on and have exits? So if you think about some of the great success stories here in the depot, it's hard not to think of Theranest and Fleetio and InstaGift. And I could go on and on. Currently, there's some great companies in here like BioGX. So BioGX is one of the nation's largest manufacturers of COVID testing supplies. And so right here in the depot. So, there's some amazing companies that we need to highlight. How many jobs were created by the companies in the depot? How much revenue was generated? But for me, one of the big KPIs that I'm tracking is what is the ultimate success of the companies that go through our programming? And I would like for our long-term success rate to be above 90%. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of effort on the companies and our team's behalf to make that happen. But just so you guys know, so the EC and Nashville, their success rate is the companies that go through their programming have on average 84% success rate. So if we can get to 90% of the companies that go through our program either have an exit or are sustainable after 5 years, that's the definition of success. And that's, I think that we're doing a good job to build our ecosystem. So some of the things that we're going to be doing here in the building, thinking big. So getting some color on the walls. There's a lot of white walls here in the building. Some big ideas around how we can get some color on the walls in a competition style. Some digital boards, whether that's monitors in the hallways. You'll start seeing those popping up. Signage in the building. We're working to try to get some outdoor patio furniture for the upstairs. Adding some music in the common areas to really just add some additional energy in the building, and then working with a lot of our community partners to help make that happen. This is, again, a community space, and so we want this to be a great place that people want to come, and they when they walk in the front door, they feel energized, and they feel that spark of innovation that I know many of us have felt, that it's that dream big and you can do anything. And so that's our big, hairy, audacious goal, as I said at the very beginning, is that our city can have more exits per capita than any other city in America. And I really think we can do that. And so it's built around our ecosystem and the energy that we build around that, and making sure that we're all pushing each other to level up the quality of the businesses and the efforts that we're putting into them. And so this is a community thing. This is not a Innovation Depot only thing. This is a community-wide effort that's going to take to make that happen, that vision come true. But I think if we look forward to 5 to 7 years, we can realize that. So how can you help? So as I mentioned, get involved. I mean, that's my big call to action. Show up and sign up. So I know that's historically been an issue in Birmingham is not getting a good head count for the events prior to when the event happens. And so it's hard to plan for some of these events. So my call to action is, hey, get involved, like make your participation known ahead of time. If you have any feedback, I would love to hear any feedback you have from in the past or things you would love to see going forward. Stay connected. So shoot me an email, stay connected with us. If you're not following us on social media, please go follow us on social media. Tell other people about us. So if you have not been to through the depot, myself or our team would love to give you a tour of the depot, show you all around. And so if you have been, go tell other people about us. And then look for opportunities. If there's not any opportunities that you come across out there in the community that you feel like the depot should be involved with, please let us know, keep us up to date, and we're going to do our best to keep everybody up to date too. So with that being said, that's me. So Drew@innovationdepot.org is my email address. There's my cell phone number. We want to be the place you go to grow your company. So this is once you have that idea and you're working with Tech Birmingham and Dion and Christina and the whole crew, once you have that idea, move into the depot. We'll help you hone that idea, commercialize it, find product market fit, go through the process of really getting a business up and running, quality revenue-driven business up and running, and help you get out into the community quickly. So yeah, we're just a resource here for our community. We're excited about it.
All right. So if there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box or in the Q&A. Drew, I did host a poll, and let me share the results with everybody. So I asked our audience, what types of events would you like to see the Innovation Depot organize? And we had, out of 35 people who voted, 83% said mixers. So I think they like the DJ on the roof idea. 43% said job fairs. 71% said seminars. 54% said resident presentations, and 3% said other. So if you answered other, please throw that in the chat box so that we can know what you're talking about. And then here is a second poll that I am going to put up. So sorry, let's see, let's do poll number 2. So poll 2 is, let's get a gauge of what types of professional development programs that people would like to see in the depot. So raising capital, benefit solutions, scaling and business growth, skills training. And again, if it wasn't included on this poll, please go ahead and put that in the chat box so we can see what you are interested in receiving from the depot. All right, and we do have a couple of questions. So someone asked, what is the QR code on Drew's background? So Rebecca, do you want to jump on and explain what the QR code is?
Sure. So we are partnering with Tech Birmingham member Link, and what they are doing is they are working with us and our presenters to create special Zoom backgrounds that include their link codes. Link is an electronic business card. It's on your phone. You share it through the camera, and it will work through your computer screen. If you hold your camera up to the QR code and get it set in the camera, you can connect directly with Drew via his link card. Jared, I hope I did you justice explaining all of that.
Okay. Let's see. Ben Pablinski asks, will we start to see a time limit on how long companies will be able to stay in the depot to open up space for newer companies? That is an excellent question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's kind of a complicated question, and I guess let me answer the whole as much as I can. So the history of the depot, just so you know, if you think about Birmingham's tech ecosystem, it wasn't as vibrant when this place first opened, right? And so the history of the depot was much more focused on biotechnology in its infancy. And so the upstairs of this building is mostly lab space. And so a bio company their incubation period is going to be much different than a tech company incubation period is going to be. And so we're working through that with the upstairs with those companies. As far as the actual office space, yes, and that's the direction we're headed, is that there is a program in which there's a time frame from that you would have some expectations around when to move out, and the hopes would be that you're growing so quickly and rapidly that you're going to want to move out, and that's part of the programming and that 90% success rate. So yeah, the answer is yes. And as we move forward, the focus of the businesses in the depot is high growth, high tech, and high growth biotech, high growth product. So the product is really kind of there's other places in town like Hardware Park that are perfect for product, that are really set up for product development, probably much more so than the depot. But we do have a couple of companies in the depot right now that are building some really interesting products, and I think they have an interesting, nice fit here. As far as how do we make that happen and that a reality, well, it's going to take working with, and that's why these organizations in the community is so important, because we can't enforce any type of rules around that until we have enough businesses coming into the top of our funnel that can fill the space, because this is, again, 140,000 square feet, and we have a mortgage to pay as well. And so we need to have a lot of new companies coming on board. And that's where working with Tech Birmingham and all these organizations, where you guys have the direct connection with the entrepreneurs. So as the entrepreneurs are coming up with the ideas and the businesses and are trying to find product market fit, we help to work closely with those companies to incubate them and move them along. But we're going to need a lot more companies. And so I guess that's a call to action is, hey, like, there's never been a better time for innovation than now. So if you've ever been thinking of starting a business, or you know someone that's starting a business in our region or even outside of our region that would be interested in moving to our region, this is what we're doing. We're helping companies get off the ground and get going, and with the hopes that there is a velocity and the speed in which the company enters and then also exits the building because of demand, not only coming in behind them, of new companies coming in behind them, but they need space. They need additional space. And a growing company has different needs than what the Innovation Depot will be offering.
That's it. Thank you for the answer. All right, so we closed out the poll, and I will share the results with everyone. So what types of professional programming would you like to see? So 33% said raising capital, 18% said benefit solutions, an overwhelming amount said scaling and business growth and skills training. So, I guess that's a great place. The Innovation Depot has been a great place for fostering some skills training. We've got 2 programs. Innovate Birmingham has the 2 tracks, the data analytics and the software development. And so if you said skills training, and you could share what your idea of what that looks like in the chat panel or the chat feature, that would be great. Scaling business, do you have programs in mind for helping some of the businesses with, I know you mentioned a lot about the Accelerator program and accelerating some of the businesses. Do you have ideas in mind for how to provide that?
Yeah. So yeah, the Accelerator program is 13 weeks. That's a 13-week sprint is good, but and I'm a big fan of Velocity Accelerator. I went through the first class, but I think the long-term efforts that are similar to a Velocity Accelerator are what's really going to make a company successful. And so that's how we're going to run the Innovation Depot, is that it's basically a Velocity Accelerator all the time. And so you're not forced to come to any of the programming. We highly recommend it, but there's no requirements to participate. But the type of training that we're going to offer is specific to what drives your business, and that's there's some foundational type stuff that a business needs to have, like a website and conversion tracking setup and that kind of stuff. But aside from that, so much of the needs, just as an entrepreneur myself, lie in scaling and growing your business, right? I mean, that's what you're seeing there. Scaling and business growth, 60% skills training. I don't know exactly what that skills training, what specifically they're referencing, but I would think it's probably around skills to scale your digital business quickly. Like, how do you go take an idea and grow it to $5 million ARR company a year quickly, and just try to tighten that timeline. And so those are the type of things. And so we're going to be bringing in people from the community, working really closely with organizations like Endeavor, which is working with companies that are kind of in that $5 to $10 million ARR range, and working with Maggie and her team to extract that blueprint from those companies, working with successful entrepreneurs in our community that have already done it, and just learning exactly what it takes. What tools do you use? What's the mindset? What's the organizational structure? All of those things that go into building and growing a digital business, because it's not like your traditional brick and mortar business.
Christina?
Hey, this is Dion just chiming in. Christina, don't let me interrupt if you're about to offer something else. Since we were in the Q&A portion, I wanted to offer up something. I appreciate like big vision. I mean, who doesn't, right? So having the most exits per capita, right? Cohesive, concise, great rallying cry. My question is, which I firmly believe we can knock out the park, right? Is what is it that you have seen in cities like Nashville? I mean, Atlanta, everybody tosses out, right? Might not be the most comparable analog, but Salt Lake City, right? Like, that's another one that's kind of flying under the radar. Or even ecosystems such as over in Boulder and Denver. Like, what is it that they did that kind of helped propel them, specifically as it relates to like these incubation hubs? And what can we apply authentically to Birmingham so that we can accelerate well beyond them, but in our own way? Are there any like common threads that are starting to emerge?
Yeah. I mean, you have to find the competitive advantage, and it's the unfair advantages. Like, where do you find your unfair advantages? Because if you look at any of those communities, their unfair advantages came from partnerships. And so they looked at their community and said, okay, what is our community really good at? And what industries do we have here that we can leverage that can give our startup community the upper hand, right? So if you think about the Birmingham community as at large, business community, you have a massive construction industry. You have a strong healthcare industry. You have a really strong rehabilitation industry with like Lakeshore Rehab, Spain Rehab, that's doing some incredible work around that and has been for many years. You have like civil rights. And I think Birmingham has an incredible opportunity to completely flip the script on our history and be known as a city that has more diverse, a more diverse tech ecosystem than any other city that has success. And like driving that, because there's a lot of funding behind that. There's a lot of opportunities behind that. And so if you think about the construction industry, there's, I don't know how many billions of dollars worth of construction done by 4 or 5 companies here in town. We should be doing some construction tech, because that's a great back playground for us to test it, right? Like somebody should be jumping, and that's a ripe industry for us to be jumping all over, because construction is way far behind the curve. Same thing goes for rehab. I mean, there's so many just natural affiliations here in town that I think we have to look for those unfair advantages of how do we give our city the best opportunity, because it all comes from partnerships. I mean, if a Regions Bank gives a startup a partner a license agreement, then that company can go raise capital at 10 to 15x of that revenue. So, if they give them $100,000 contract, that's a 1.5 up to a $1.5 million value that they're going to get on that revenue. And so they can go raise capital on that. And that's what's critically important. And so creating those competitive advantages through unfair relationships and advantages is really, I think that's how we need to be thinking. And that's what I'm going to be focused on.
So we do have a few questions in our Q&A. Let's see. One of our attendees said, excited about ID's additional focus on community impact. What KPIs will be used to measure the success of the depot's diversity and inclusion objectives?
Yeah, good question. So one, we're going to be looking at attendance, and so making sure that we have a good cross-section of our community that's represented. Also, in that success of the companies that come in and leave the depot, like what's that mix look like? How many of those companies are diverse? Our team is going to be diverse. I can assure you that we're already in the process of making that happen. And so, yeah, I think those are the big thing. It's around success, because that's ultimately what we're trying to do here is to level everything up so that all the companies that come through the depot have their best chance of success by being housed here in the depot.
Great. I'm looking forward to seeing some of those programs that come from this. Okay, Renetta Brown asks, can you define exit? What do you mean, like exit in the
So I should, so there's graduations and then there's exit. So graduation would be the company moves into the depot and then they move out of the depot for they need more space. They typically that's what's going to happen. They need more space, or they're ready to move into their own building. So that's a graduation. An exit would be the company either sells, so someone comes and acquires the company. There's a recapitalization of the company. So a private equity would come in and acquire some of the equity, some of the founders' equity in exchange for cash. And so that's a big liquidation event. There's an IPO. So there's, you could have a public offering. So there's any number of ways that a company could have a liquidation event, but an exit would be some type of cash injection, liquidation to the founders and ownership team. That is not capital raised. I do think capital raise is a KPI that we need to be tracking here in Birmingham, although I'm a huge proponent of building cash flow businesses and raise capital in that. So that's, but I mean, capital is an incredibly important piece of our ecosystem. And so that goes back to the making people aware of building awareness for our community and what we're doing here, that the more we can make people aware of how we're building and how we're operating and interacting with each other, the more interest there's going to be from outside parties, investors for our community, because they're going to see that we've got this blueprint that there's people on the outside already know, a lot of investors already know about Birmingham, but then if we show that there's just this engine that's consistently producing successful businesses, then we'll have a stream of capital coming to Birmingham.
Great. Let's see. Is there a statewide network of depot-like places?
That's a good question. So I've spoken with the Innovation Portal in Mobile. They just recently are getting, within the last 18 months, getting their building open. They have, I think, about 40,000 square feet. So it's quite a bit smaller than Innovation Depot. Tuscaloosa has the Edge, which is affiliated with University of Alabama. Auburn has one. UAB has. So there's like some incubators, and I would say, I don't know if there's an actual affiliation per se, but it's a good question. I need to find that out. If anyone knows, I would love to know. I know that there's INBIA, which is it's the incubation association, that we're a member of that.
All right. And this is a question for Dion. Someone wants to know, where do you get your fresh V-necks?
From Drew's closet. Yeah, I know. What's sad is that I can't even remember where I got this. I don't know, like Banana Republic, maybe, like Express. Are folks still shopping there? I'm probably like aging myself. I got it from Hot Topic.
Hot Topic. Goth Gap, basically.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All right. Well, let's see. That's all the questions that we've got from the Peanut Gallery. And let's see. April Benatello does want to connect with you, Drew. So
Okay.
we will put you in touch with her. And that's it. That's all I've got.
Good deal.
Yeah.
I do want to chime in and actually kind of go back, and I guess this can kind of be like the closing wrap up, right? But pulling on that thread a little bit more as it relates to the unfair advantages, the competitive advantages. Firm believer in that. I think Michael Porter has done amazing work kind of elucidating that and how communities, micro communities, but I think it applies to larger ecosystems and metros as well, right? So I'm thinking in particular about the Building It Together report that highlighted, if you will, the three major areas that Birmingham needs to lean in. But not a part of that report, and I don't offer that up as a negative, but you highlighted it, Drew. Like, there are a lot of things that Birmingham does very well, and that necessarily hasn't translated to tech yet, right? Still a major financial hub. How do we build up the fintech ecosystem? Construction, hard to find a metro with more concentrated construction talent and companies than in Birmingham. How does that translate over? And so obviously the relationships, right? But how do we start to change that collective capacity and that psyche, if you will, to say this is something that we also need to be placing bets on as well? Just curious, figured out, toss it out to you if you had any initial thoughts or feedback.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're exactly right. And because those unfair advantages come from, as we talked about, the contracts and the ability to get your product tested, that early product feedback, you know? And so it's not only just the contract, but it's that feedback that you're going to get back from the customer. So, and you also have to think about your timelines. If, you know, early stage company, you want to iterate as quickly as you can and pivot if as needed. And so having access to that customer base is so critically important. So, you know, if you're a startup and you're trying to sell into banks, for instance, large banks, then it's a long sales process, right? You better be well capitalized so that you can survive that sales process. But if we have banks here in town, a number of them, 5 or 6, that were willing to take a risk and say, hey, our innovation department means that we work closely with the startups in town. And that's what innovation means to us, is we're going to work closely with the innovators in our community to solve problems that we have internally. And that's that that unfair advantage, because then the startups can iterate so much quicker than the larger companies, and they can solve those needs, and it accelerates the growth of these companies so much quicker. And so that's where, as I'm thinking of the different industries, I just think the construction industry is ripe for disruption anyway. It's so archaic. And I know there's a couple of companies around Birmingham that are working on some solutions, but this is a whole new world. I was talking to someone yesterday that Birmingham, I think, has a tremendous opportunity to be on the front lines of how do we fight infectious disease. UAB has an incredible infectious disease department. They saved my life. And they this is a whole new world. There's going to be a lot of technology built around how do you keep cities and people clean and germ free, and like how do you track that and monitor it and trace it, and there's just a lot of new technology that I think is going to happen in the next 12 months around that. And I'm really excited because I've been on this job for 2 weeks now, and I've already heard from so many entrepreneurs that are working on new products right now that they're taking this time. And I really think that the largest innovation boom that America has seen is happening right now. That it's like people are writing code right now on the next innovation boom that's going to happen. And I think in 12, 18 months from now, we'll look back and think, geez, how did that happen? Well, it's because we all sat at home for 3 months, right?
Right.
So that's what happens. There's going to be a lot of babies, and there's going to be a lot of new technology.
Right.
So double boom.
Exactly right.
So Kelly Clark actually asked a very important question, which I will agree with her on this question. For the iteration of the Innovation Depot, will there be a pool table upgrade in the game room?
That is a very important question. So many of you guys know Jay Brandrup, and Jay, if you have not been to Kinetic's office, they have an incredibly cool office. So he and I walked the building a couple of days ago, and that was one of the first things we noticed was the pool table, and that whole community room just needs some updating. So as I mentioned, we're a nonprofit, so there's going to have to be a little give and take, but I think that there's definitely some opportunities there to make that whole room better. It may take a little bit of time, but absolutely. Drew, if a pool table is what we want, we're gonna get a pool table. Even a Pac-Man, like Pac-Man. I want a Pac-Man machine.
So I'm thinking maybe we need to do a hackathon at the depot.
Absolutely.
Drew, and
that's a great idea.
Come up with some fun. Come up with some fun solutions for the depot and make it a community-wide event.
Oh man, I love that idea. So yeah, absolutely. Let's catch up.
All right, let's dive into that. All right, so thank you. I do want to show something off really quick because one of our production sponsor put this together for us, and so so sorry, I've got far too many things open. So Link put this together for us, which I'm very proud of. So we've got our own links, Dion.
I love it. I love it. Jared, if you're still with us, definitely appreciate you guys coming on board as production sponsors for TechTuesday, and just quite honestly for what you guys are doing in the entire community. I'm just super excited to see where you all take it. If you all are not on Link now, I highly encourage you to do so. You might be saying, what is Link? If you were at Sloss Tech, what was that, 2018, 2019? Mm-hmm. I have no more concept of time. COVID has just demolished it. If you were at that Sloss Tech, they demoed it on stage, and I can't remember who it was, but they actually pitched Alexis Ohanian from the balcony.
And Jared, I'm making it so that you can share your camera so you can join us in the conversing.
That's fantastic. Yeah, so as he takes himself off of mute, there he is.
There we go.
I've really been encouraged by how quickly they have been able to develop this out. There is actually now an app in the iOS store. I'm assuming maybe for Android as well. I'm not sure, but if you don't have an iPhone anyway, what are you doing, right? So make sure you go download that. But no, it's just fantastic. So I don't know, Jared, if you wanted to say anything, don't let me steal your thunder, but I do want to say thanks for partnering with us on that.
No, thank you for having us. We're happy to be a sponsor for Tech Tuesday, and like you said, Dion, if you guys want to jump on link, all you got to do is scan my QR code behind me, and you'll be able to set up your own account and then use our Zoom backgrounds for your next webinar meeting.
Fantastic. I appreciate it, man. Seriously, you guys are going to be the a part of the next wave of success stories. So wish you all the luck in what you're doing. And I guess if you want to hang out with us, Christina, I'm assuming I have the thumbs up. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. And thank everybody for coming out. As always, these are recorded. So make sure you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TechBham, not BHM, TechBHAM. We have the A in there. Make sure you go subscribe, all of that good stuff. But this should be up in about a day max. And we'll also be sending out a survey. Be on the lookout for that. We think these are good, but there's always a higher gear that we could hit. And the only way that we can do that is if we know what you all are thinking. Give us feedback. We have thick skin. We can take it. Let us know about content, frequency, whatever is on your mind, but be on the lookout for that. And the last thing, make sure that you are a member of Tech Birmingham. A lot of our stuff is free. It's open to the public. Some things are not. So there's added value with being a member. And quite honestly, if you all were not a part of this, we couldn't do the work that we all do as well. So with that said, thank you, Drew. Appreciate it. Congratulations again on being selected as CEO for Innovation Depot. Looking forward to our continued partnership. And with that said, we will catch you all. Oh, the most important thing. Thank you for the Andre 3000 verse. How in the world did I even forget that? I'm saving the best for last. That was from The Art of Storytelling, part 4. All right. Yes, it is an amazing song. We got 3 minutes. So whatever you had at 1, you have enough time to go and check out Andre's verse. The hood be requesting my services. Don't get nervous. It's step your game up time. These ain't the same old rhymes. I'll just leave you with that teaser. And with that said, thanks again. And we'll catch you all again soon.
Oh, don't forget Drinks with Dion tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm gonna actually play that song before we start tomorrow. Go to our website. Make sure you sign up. Last time we did it, we had Mayor Randall Woodfin pop in. He hung out with us for a bit. Right. Nice flex. So we're going to have another special guest. We can't tell you who. That's part of the surprise, but definitely join. And we will see you all there tomorrow. Thank you, Christina. Have a great day ahead, everybody.